Light stands for auspiciousness, prosperity, and abundance. A single lamp can light hundreds more. Just as one person of knowledge can share his knowledge with many. Put your hands together for the auspicious ceremony of lighting the lamp.
May I now call upon the students of SKV Defense Colony to welcome His Holiness the Dalai Lama with a living symbol of happiness, a potted plant. Your Holiness, that this plant will always remind you of our schools of directors, our teachers, our officers, and our loved ones. In a short and beautiful poem, Sri Chinmoy says, "The mind chases happiness, the heart creates happiness, the soul is happiness, and it spreads happiness allwhere, everywhere." And this thought is echoed by His Holiness the Dalai Lama when he states that human happiness and satisfaction must ultimately come from within oneself. His Holiness the Dalai Lama is concerned with encouraging people to be happy and advocates cultivation of warm-heartedness and human values. Your Holiness has also authored and co-authored more than 110 books and has traveled to more than 67 countries to spread his message of peace, non-violence, and universal responsibility. As a world leader, a recipient of the Nobel Peace Prize, and being fully committed to benefiting humanity, who else, ladies and gentlemen, could be more apt to enlighten us today about the concept of happiness? It is indeed my proud privilege to invite His Holiness the Dalai Lama to share his views with us and bless us all with his pearls of wisdom. His Holiness the Dalai Lama, ladies and gentlemen.
Respected, my dear friend, Delhi Chief Minister Marve, and Deputy Chief Minister, since many years we know, as a politician, sometimes newspaper you see carry some different views. Then the elder brothers and sisters, and I think most of you, I think younger brothers and the younger sisters. I really feel a meaningful sort of meeting, and I feel great honor. You invited me here. And then first day, I want to express the appreciation you've done. Really make, I think, serious effort. So I really appreciate. And you mentioned the existing Indian modern education introduced by Britisher. At that time, I also, you see, same view, same feeling. At that time, I think Indian, as a traditional sort of educated people, scholars, I think should involve India, not one European country. This country, as you mentioned rightly, 3, 4, 5,000 years already, you see, you have certain sort of education or knowledge. So it is quite a pity when modern education introduced here, I think should combine with ancient Indian knowledge. So now you mentioned that, I really very much sort of impressed. Now, because I myself, as a student of ancient Indian thought, in 8th century, I think 7th century, Tibetan emperor, in spite of very close relations with Chinese emperor through marriage, but he preferred Tibetan script at that time improve or newly sort of developed. And anyway, you see, he copied Devanagari, one ancient Indian script. So our Tibetan sort of script appropriate, kakakanga, chachahanya, like that. And then 8th century, Tibetan emperor. I think his mother also was one Chinese sort of a princess. And China already is very much, Buddha Dharma very much flourished already in China. But then he preferred, the proper teacher of Buddha Dharma should come from India. So he invited, 8th century, at that time, Nalanda institution, so also they were highly taught. So at that time, I think almost the best scholar, monk, and also, scholar in the field of philosophy, Madhyamika philosophy, as well as Chitta Mantra philosophy, Shandarakshita, great scholar. We can see through his writing how much that was knowledgeable. Then he also great logician. So his writing about logic, there, one of our texts to study. And then his student, Kamalashila, both of them, invited to Tibet by Tibetan emperor. Then these people introduce Buddha Dharma according to Nalanda tradition. So now today, it seems now the Nalanda tradition, more complete form, I think exists only in Tibetan sort of, monastic institution. So we usually, study these texts over 20, 30 years. I myself also used to study these texts. When I carried study, I was quite reluctant, lazy student, not much interest for study. But those subjects which I learned with great reluctance, eventually I found very, very useful, this knowledge. So all these knowledge, firstly, I think the Madhyamika philosophy give us the wider perspective and reach deeper level of reality. Wonderful. I think the very destructive emotion, very much based on appearances. So the knowledge, the deeper reality, like quantum physics, very helpful to tackle our destructive emotion. Then the way is it to approach these things, we use extensively logical approach. Buddha himself, you see, told us, you should not accept my teaching out of faith, out of devotion, but rather thorough investigation. So some of his followers, like Nagarjuna, Chandakirti, they even use some Buddha's own teaching which give a certain sort of audience. So according to that sort of mental disposition, Buddha taught certain sort of certain concept. So that, then later Nagarjuna and these people rejected Buddha's own sort of text or teaching, sutra. If you accept this Buddha's teaching literally, it goes against reason. Therefore, we must reject. It's quite unique. So, this master, you see, taught us the logical approach. Everything. Investigate and experiment. So therefore, according to Nalanda tradition, these Buddhist masters, since they very much emphasis on reason, experiment, therefore our thinking very scientific way. So last over 30 years, I have serious discussion with modern scientists. As a result, now it becomes very clear, meeting with scientists, mainly cosmology, 4 fields, cosmology, neurobiology, physics, particularly quantum physics, then psychology, is very useful, visual learning. So all these knowledge come from Nalanda. Before, one great Tibetan, also the spiritual leaders as well as great scholar, he expressed, till light of India reached Tibet, Tibet, in spite land of snow, still dark. Only after India's light reached there, then Tibet become bright. It's quite true. So I always see it expressing, traditionally, historically, we are chela of Indian Guru. And also, I usually is telling, we are not only chela, but quite reliable, trusted chela. Truly. So over 1,000 years, look, in India itself, like Nalanda, ruined, nothing there. But all this knowledge we kept over 1,000 years. So now is my main point is, as a now nearly 83-year-old person, I have a lot of sort of meeting with different people and watching the world. Then a lot of trouble. Many of these trouble, like nature disaster, many of them our own creation. According to scientists, basic human nature is more compassionate. Yet we created a lot of problems through anger, hatred, jealousy, suspicion. So now, the modern education, nothing to offer regarding inner peace, because modern education very much oriented about material value. So see, every country, humanity, through modern education, then they create materialistic culture, materialistic life. So external values, very difficult to bring inner peace. So therefore, now I always is telling everywhere, now just materialistic education is not sufficient. Now we should look inner value. These days I describe the hygiene of physical in our education. In education, hygiene of physical, they are good. Now we need hygiene of emotion in our education. Very important. Healthy physical, but mentally much disturbed mind, and then the healthy physical sometimes you see create more trouble. So the healthy physical, similarly, same time, is a healthy mind, then very good. So now, I think whole world need some kind of moral ethics, education about moral ethics, not based on religion, but based on our common sense and scientific finding. So when I carry this message with conviction, then look India. Over 3,000 years, education about our mind already there. So, in order to tackle our emotion, this country developed practice of shamatha, practice of vipassana. Before Buddha come, already exist the practice of shamatha, practice of vipassana. So Buddha himself, product of ancient Indian culture. So now I really feel only this country, India, have the ability to combine modern education and ancient Indian knowledge. Combine modern education, very helpful to material development. And we need material development. And then ancient Indian education or knowledge about our inner world, our emotion, how to tackle our emotion. 1,000 years in this country, the concept of ahimsa there. Ahimsa and karuna combined. Without karuna, ahimsa, not possible. So, with that concept, this country, over 1,000 years, religious harmony in there. According to Indian sort of understanding, secular means respect all religion and also respect non-believer. It is very practical and very wise. So the secular ethics, they carried in this country. So now today, India, over 1 billion population, there are some problems. But inside that, and then East India, South India, West India, North India, Central India, different language, different script, but live harmoniously together. And different religious tradition. Like Sangha philosophy, Jain philosophy, and through Sangha philosophy, there are many different sort of Hindu tradition, then Jain tradition, then Buddhist tradition, then later the Sikhism. When I begin to mention Sikhism, you yawning. The Guru Nanak, I think Hindu background, he deliberately take pilgrimage to Mecca to show religious harmony. Wonderful. These are homegrown different spiritual tradition. Then from outside, ancient time, Zoroastrian from Persia. Now in Bombay, less than 100,000, small population, but live very happily. No fear, very small population among, say, the millions of Christian, millions of Muslim, Hindus, the small Zoroastrian, Parsi, Parsi people there. That's India. I think religious harmony is truly marvelous because of India's 1,000-year-old tradition of ahimsa and secular and karuna. So now, unfortunately, modern India, I think, much neglected about ancient Indian knowledge. So now you are now showing interest, and not only interest, making effort. So I want to express my congratulations. Wonderful. Now combination, modern education and ancient Indian knowledge combined. Then I think physical level, well, mental level, peace, compassionate. So compassion is very important because very purpose of our life, I usually describe happiness. Reason, the future, even this afternoon, what will happen, do not know. In future, no guarantee, but our life based on hope. Even present some difficulties, still with hope, our life remains. If someone completely lost hope, then that very mental attitude shortens their life. And worst case, even suicide may take place. So therefore, hope means something good. Therefore, the purpose of our life, I usually telling people, happiness is our sort of the real meaning of our life. Now happiness, the materialistic way, happiness only sensorial level. Seeing something nice, hearing some beautiful music, and taste, and smell, and touch, including sex. These are materialistic sort of, or say happiness, materialistic level happiness. These are short, not long-lasting happiness. Long-lasting happiness must develop on mental level. Even you see, faith, not sensory level, mental level. So faith brings inner peace. Now in this country, Sangha philosophy, Jain philosophy, one part of Sangha philosophy, and then Jain philosophy, Buddhist philosophy, no creator, rather self-creation. So therefore, the concept of karma also come. Everything depends on your own action. Positive action, virtuous action bring good. Harmful, sinful action bring suffering. That depends on motivation. So this country, over 3,000 years, or say they already examined the ultimate source of happiness, not external, but here. Not sensorial level, but mental level. So practice of shamatha, practice of vipassana come. So therefore, and you see, these things originally come from religious text. Now we should take now these things as an academic subject, not a religious subject. Faith is something different. So similarly, a lot of Buddhist text, there's a lot of sort of explanation, logic and philosophy. The original source, religious text. But we should take this as an academic subject so that millions of Hindus, millions of Christians, Islam, you see, can learn psychology and logic. You see, remain your own faith. But meantime, these things consider as an academic subject, and I think worthwhile to study, to learn. So now, whole world facing some problem due to very unrest emotion, the emotional crisis now really taking place on our in this world. So in that case, ancient Indian knowledge, the way to tackle our emotion is very, very relevant. Not only ancient sort of knowledge, but relevant, very, very relevant to today's world. So not, you see, these not carried by temples or ritual or kasoda, or prayer. No, through education, and strictly secular way. So once this country, you see, develop more complete form of education, taking care physical, similarly taking care of our emotion, our mind, then I have no doubt, I think Chinese, historically, Buddhist country, wherever Chinese sort of community there, some Buddhist temple, like Vietnamese, always there. So they also, I think, pay more attention about education field, education about modern education, plus education about how to build inner peace, how to tackle destructive emotion, strictly secular way. So I think revival of ancient Indian knowledge, firstly in this country, then other Buddhist countries, certainly I think Kasoda will take some sort of experience from India, and then China. And if China, India, both, you see, they pay more attention about inner value through education, then combine these two nations, over 2.5 billion of human beings. So very important. Now Delhi, a capital of Indian Republic, now you start some sort of effort. So I feel very, very and so, as I mentioned earlier, we traditionally Chela of Indian Guru. Now modern time, now it seems now traditional Indian Guru's Chela now become Guru. Traditional our Guru, not much knowledge of these things. So India introduced these things, combine modern education and ancient Indian knowledge combined. Then you truly become a modern Guru. And other countries becoming modern Chela. So that was I want to share with you. So now here most of them teacher. These, so these sort of knowledge, firstly, you as a teacher, you yourself sort of think more seriously. Then, and also you see, combined with modern scientific finding, then you can teach children. Not just say, oh, this book mentioned that and this book mentioned that, not that way. Use common sense and scientific finding. Then it becomes real sort of interest and conviction. So I usually describe myself half Buddhist monk, half scientist. So it can grow. Those traditions, not just based on faith, but through sort of, vipassana, investigation. That's very scientific. So I think through education, this country, firstly, this country, you see, can make some kind of the new revolution, sort of revolution in education field. Yeah. Then it affects large number of Asian countries, then also European countries, or South, North America. So therefore, you see, your work really, I think, eventually can be benefit to entire humanity. Thank you.
Using dry pastry. It's beautiful and it seems as if it is a twin copy of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Please accept this, Your Holiness, as a memento of this memorable day spent with you.
Thank you.
And here we have a presentation from His Holiness the Dalai Lama himself. Thank you.